تجادلوا أهل الكتاب إلا بالتي هي أحسن إلا الذين ظلموا منهم وقولوا آمنا بالذي أنزل إلينا وأنزل إليكم وإلهنا وإلهكم واحد ونحن له مسلمون وكذلك أنزلنا إليك الكتاب فالذين آتيناهم الكتاب يؤمنون به ومن هؤلاء من يؤمن به وما يجحد بآياتنا إلا الكافرون وما كنت تتلو من قبله من كتاب ولا تخطه بيمينك إذا لارتاب المبطلون بل هو آيات بينات في صدور الذين أوتوا العلم وما يجحد بآياتنا إلا الظالمون وقالوا لولا أنزل عليه آيات من ربه قل إنما الآيات عند الله وإنما أنا نذير مبين أولم يكفهم أنا أنزلنا عليك الكتاب يتلى عليهم إن في ذلك لرحمة وذكرى لقوم يؤمنون قل كفى بالله بيني وبينكم شهيدا يعلم ما في السماوات وما في الأرض والذين آمنوا بالباطل وكفروا بالله أولئك هم الخاسرون.
Takbir. Barakallah fi Brother Sam. And inshallah, without any further ado, we'll begin with our program of community. Fadl ya Shaykh.
Jazakallah khairan. MashaAllah, beautiful. May Allah bless you. May Allah keep you steadfast, keep you consistent, make you from the people of the Quran. Ameen. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Salatu wa salam ala Rasulillah. Wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam tasliman kathiran wa ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. We'll be discussing a hadith tonight, an authentic hadith collected by the two sheikhs, Bukhari and Muslim. A well-known hadith. I'm sure you've heard of before. I'm sure you've read it. I'm sure you've memorized it, many of you. But we want to try our best in the night ta'ala to shed some light on the hadith, to dissect it, to break it down. لَا تَصَدَّقَنَّ لَيْلَةً بِصَدَقَةٍ. Moving forward, another lesson that we learn from this hadith is the power of one's intention, the power of one's niyyah, and how the niyyah, inshallah ta'ala, will have an effect upon the validity of the deed, and it will have an effect, inshallah ta'ala, upon the acceptance of the deed. And that's because if you're truly, truly, truly sincere, if you really, really, really want something, you're going to find out how to do it, and where to get it, and how to get to it, based off of one's sincere intentions. Khayr, inshallah ta'ala. So determination, never giving into peer pressure, never giving into what people think and feel and how they think and feel about you, what you're supposed to be doing, as long as you know that it's right. And also being pure and being sincere, and staying pure and staying sincere. And setbacks are meant to be setbacks. The obstacle is meant for you to hurdle it. You're supposed to jump over the obstacle. It is not meant to stop you. It isn't meant to make you fall out and quit. It's nothing more than a hurdle. Many people, and this goes back to the first point, they allow the smallest setback to hinder them from their goals and their dreams. And that goes, and that's connected to the second point, which is sincerity. You really, really didn't want it. So you were looking for an excuse to get up and quit. You were looking for a reason and a way to validate your weakness. And the Prophet ﷺ, he tells us, "Ihris ala ma yanfa'uka wasta'in billah wa la ta'jaz." Work hard for that which is good for you. Seek Allah's help and never shoot yourself in the foot. Never make yourself weak and incapable. Never be a weakling. And the greatest type of weakling isn't physical, but it's mental. Weak mentally. You give up, you destroy yourself, you sabotage yourself, and you look for an excuse to say, well, I couldn't. See, I tried to do this, I tried to go here, I tried to go to college, I tried to go overseas, I tried to make my own business, I tried to do the right thing, get married, I tried to walk away from the drugs and from the violence, but I couldn't. But are you really honestly sincere? Do you really honestly want it? The man who killed 99 men. And surprisingly enough, in that hadith, the man killed 100 men. But for one reason or another, the hadith is called the man who killed 99 men. But naturally, he killed 100 people. After all of that bloodshed, he still had a sincere intention, and he still had determination. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he sent those angels to argue and to fight over his soul. Who would take him? The angels of mercy or the angels of punishment? And we know that the man was closer to the righteous village by barely a handspan. Barely a handspan. He died just before he reached the place in which he wanted to make hijrah to. He had determination, he had willpower, and he was sincere to do the right thing. So these are golden principles for the Muslim youth. Determination, willpower, sincerity, not caring, not giving up, and not deeming yourself weak and incapable. Know that Allah has given you much mental strength, spiritual strength, physical strength. Strengthen your brothers, strengthen your numbers, strengthen your family, strengthen your community. Don't shoot yourself in the foot. Don't quit. Don't give up. Khayr, inshallah. So those are some of the moral lessons that we can learn from the hadith. As far as some of the fiqh lessons, ahkam fiqhiyah, then this hadith proves, and there's an evidence for those scholars who say that if a person pays zakat, or if a person gives sadaqah, and it falls in the incorrect hand after the fact that they thought it was the correct hand, then the sadaqah and the zakat is valid. And they do not have to do the sadaqah or the zakat a second time. Hadith shows us is that if you have the correct intention, you try your best, you give sadaqah, and then later on you find out that the person was fraudulent, they were stealing your money, they were extorting money, they were embezzling money, they really weren't poor, then your sadaqah and your zakat, inshallah ta'ala, will be valid, right? Another very important point from this hadith, not a fiqh issue, but a social issue, and that is that there are causes, there are reasons, and there are effects behind all deeds. not excuses. Doesn't mean that it's okay, but there's a reason. Most people, or many people, why they steal, not because they love stealing, or they want to do the wrong thing, but sometimes they have a necessity. Many people, men and women, they get caught up in fahisha. Not because they wanted to, not because they loved it, but oftentimes they had no choice. They were violated, raped, molested, abused. A woman, she lost her husband in the war, father in the war, brother in the war, uncle in the war, son in the war. All of the men in my village are dead. I have nothing to eat. I have children I have to take care of. It's a simple option. Have them die of starvation or sell my honor. And that's very unfortunate. Nobody would want that for any of your daughters or mothers or sisters. You would never want that. And it should also come to your mind when you're caught up in that lifestyle. There's somebody's daughter that you exploited. There's somebody's daughter that you violated. There's somebody out there that doesn't want to be out there. And I never ever forget this. I was in Toronto once with my man Samir some years back. We were leaving the masjid, we were walking to the car was parked. And he was telling me, he was like, yo, Muf, he said, it's a little crazy around here, so don't judge me. This is the only way we can park the car, but it's crazy out here. So I said, I'm from Philly, it's not much I haven't seen, it's, no big deal. And I never forget, it was in Toronto, it was freezing cold in the middle of the winter. Freezing cold. So I'm standing out there waiting for him to open up the car, and there's this lady in the near distance, she's standing around. I didn't think anything of it. So then she got a little closer and closer, I didn't think anything of it, Then Sam, he started looking around, he's like, yo, Mom, he's like, watch out, man, it's crazy out here. I'm like, what's the problem? So she walks closer and closer, and then she said, oh, sorry, I didn't see, and then walked off. She apologized because she saw how I was dressed. She didn't mean to disrespect me, dressed like a Muslim. I know you're not interested in this. And subhanAllah, it was so cold out there. How she was dressed, what she was wearing, she was shivering with a coat. And I was like, dang, if I didn't say a worse word than that, what if that was my daughter out there? Freezing out there, standing out there 2-3 hours just to get one customer, 2 customers. What are they gonna pay her for the service? How long it's gonna last? Who knows? Her kids at home, the oldest kids watching the younger kids, no food. She's standing out there selling herself, dealing with any creep, walk of life. Freezing cold, snow and ice. Just in most cases to put basic food on the table for her children or her sick grandmother. It's a rough life. It's a rough situation to be in. So the hadith states that you gave money to this prostitute woman, and maybe because you gave her money, she'll stop being a prostitute. In other words, oftentimes people are trapped and they're stuck, and they don't have a choice. But that isn't an excuse, and it isn't a validation for you to go out and to get caught up and involved in that stuff. And many people, they get caught up in the street life because they don't have a choice, but then it's no longer a necessity. Now it's fun. You're not keeping it real. You're not being honest with yourself. You started selling drugs because you had to pay off these medical expenses for your mom. You started paying drugs because there was nothing else available, but now it's fun. Now you're addicted. Now it's intoxicating. Now the money, the respect, the love, the clothes, the this, the jewelry, the lifestyle, you can't get out. And that is the scary thing about the streets, is that you can't just walk away from the streets. You can't walk away from drugs when you want to. You can't walk away from alcohol when you want to. You can't walk away from pornography when you want to. You can't walk away from fahisha when you want to. They have their own personality. They want you too. I'm not ready for you to leave. You want to leave, you want to do the right thing, but I want to stay. I like you. You're fun. You're a good host. You spend a lot of time on me. You spent a lot of money on me. You were there for me when other people quit and walked away from me. I like you. You don't like it anymore. You want to walk away. But does that mean that the drug or your homies or the beef who got shot, who got killed, the vendetta, it doesn't mean this is done with you. And that's why you stay away from it. Because you may have an excuse for doing it the first time. the second time. But after that, the excuse is over, it's done. So the Prophet ﷺ, he says maybe, or he tells us that it was said to the man that maybe the prostitute woman will stop being a prostitute because you gave her charity. Maybe the thief will stop stealing out of necessity because you gave him charity. And maybe the rich man will start giving charity because you softened and you touched his heart. And this part of the hadith, as I explained a couple weeks ago, shows us is that we have to think, or we have to scratch beneath the surface and think outside of the box. And that's another very important piece of advice for community life is don't be so judgmental. Don't be so fast and quick to judge somebody and to speak about somebody. You don't know what's going on in that person's life. You don't know what happened in that person's life. The wrong is wrong, right is right. There's no doubt about that. Halal is clear. قَدْ تَبَيَّنَ الرُّشْدُ مِنَ الْغَيِّ. Allah clearly says that. Righteousness is clear from misguidance. There's no confusion. إِنَّ الْحَلَالَ بَيِّنَ وَإِنَّ الْحَرَامَ بَيِّنَ. That's clear. But the individual experience, you don't know what it is. So you shouldn't be so hasty in judging people, saying things about people, make an excuse for somebody, make dua for them, and most importantly, one cannot curse the darkness until he's willing to light a candle himself. You can't curse the dark until you yourself are willing to light a candle. So I'm tired of these people, I'm tired of this neighborhood, I'm tired of this. What are you doing to change that? Anything? Or are you making the situation worse? So these are just different pieces of reflection on this hadith. The importance of sadaqah, the virtue of sadaqah, along with those moral lessons. Inshallah ta'ala, I'll give you guys some time if you guys want to add. Something you want to add, Ahmed, you're more than free. I mean that. You're more than free to add if you like. Inshallah ta'ala, anybody else? And if you guys have any questions, I'll try my best to answer them in the most accurate manner possible. Jazakumullahu khairan.